Here.
Gina Sakala,
Here.
Cindy Mangini, Marie Peisner, Scott Ryder, Tim Neville,
Here.
Doug McSellen.
Doug's trying to call in.
Okay. Tina LeBlanc,
Here.
Wendy Costa,
Here.
Charlotte Riley, Bethany Olet, Melissa Everett.
Yep.
Jaime Cisneros, Jeff Leonowitz,
Here.
and Chris Cycli is not, but I do see, David, you are on.
Okay, do we have the number for Doug to call in?
Should be on the meeting invite.
Okay, how does he do that with his phone?
If he has access to email, there should be I believe it's a 188 number.
Yep.
That will bring it right to this meeting.
Okay. Is it possible to send that again to Doug?
I think it's 1-646-741-5292.
Okay, can you do that again for me, Gina?
Yep. 646
Yep.
741 5292. And then he'll need the meeting ID number, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
That's the phone number. And then do you need the meeting ID number?
Oh, that's the phone number? Okay,
That was the phone number.
okay. Okay. Hang on, let me get the phone number to him. Sorry.
There's more than one phone number. Do you need more than one?
I don't know. I gave him the number that you just gave me.
Okay.
I never actually used the phone
Yes.
portion, so I don't know.
So he
Yeah,
will
I
need
just-
the,
I just downloaded it on my phone as well. So I never.
he
Right,
will
I
need the meeting
downloaded
ID.
the app on my phone, so I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
exactly what I did. So the meeting ID number, do you need it?
Yes,
He
please.
will.
Yep. It's 111-870-3992.
And I'm just gonna, then we'll continue with the meeting number. The meeting, because, you know. Okay, he's got the phone number and the meeting number. If he can catch up with us, that would be really, really grand, but I'm gonna continue with the meeting. All right, so, can I have the roll? We did the roll call, correct?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, thank you. All right, approval of minutes on A, can I get a vote to remove that from, or
A
change?
motion to remove August 6th from the agenda.
Right, it should be August 13th.
No, there was no August 13th.
There was no August 13th. It was canceled.
Correct.
We didn't have enough people, so let's remove that one from the agenda.
Okay, we'll
Motion.
remove that from the agenda. So 3B, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the 18th?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Wendy in favor? Wendy, you
Was
there?
I there?
I'm in favor. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Can I take a motion to approve the minutes from August 20th?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Raise their hand.
Aye.
I'm in
All in
favor.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everyone. All right, everyone's in favor. Okay, we have no special guests. All
Tina,
business-
remember I'm not here on the 18th, so I didn't raise my hand on that one.
Okay, so there's one abstention on the
For the
18th.
18th, yep.
Thank you, Gina. Okay. No special guests, old business, Henry Barnard, phase 1. We have David Crowell.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh,
Doug,
hi,
Doug is just-
Doug.
Doug
Great,
just
thanks,
joined us.
Doug. Yeah, thank
Jesus,
Gina, she had all
that
the
was-
information.
That was a process. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So Dave, do you have an update for us?
The only update is that the roofing contract has been awarded or is underway. Other than that, I did not get a follow-up other than they're on.
All right,
They're
so
moving
A and
forward.
B, we're gonna say no information, no information. David, take away. You are phase 3, which is not on here, but
Right.
go ahead and do phase 3.
That's pretty much it. Just that the
Actually, Jeff's gonna steal your thunder. Jeff,
Yeah.
you want to give us a little update?
Absolutely. So I just want to give a small shout out to all the town staff, different departments, this committee, getting this done. The PO was issued yesterday. I met with the contractor on site. They were actually staging their equipment, materials, and dumpsters. I talked with the superintendent. I talked with the principal. So they're there. They'll be there again tomorrow, and then they'll be hitting the ground really heavy on Monday. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed and finish on schedule before the kids come back to school. So I just want to say thank you to everybody involved getting this moved through in such an interesting manner with the setbacks and delays. But I'm glad to see that we're finally working on that roof. So just thank you to everyone involved.
And thanks, Jeff, for the update. That's good news, and let's hope for some dry weather.
Good to hear that, Jeff. Yeah, that I thought that was the case, but I hadn't gotten that confirmed, so I didn't want to say anything. So
Yep. All right, so now we're on C, the roof management plan. We're on the agenda for the 8th as a special guest, and usually those are 20-minute presentations. So Jeff, take it away.
So I kind of changed the avenue. This is a CIP focused plan. If you'd like to share the screen, I can kind of show everybody the presentation. I don't want to keep beating.
I think you're gonna have to do that, Jeff. I don't know if I
I'm
can
going to
do
share
that.
right now.
Yep, okay, great.
Adobe. There. All right, can everybody see my
Yep.
screen?
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm good. Is
All right,
anybody
yeah.
not being able to see that? What about the people on phones?
I don't know if they have the if they have an app or something. I think they can see it on the iPhone.
Okay. So, but we're gonna get this emailed to us.
I'll
So-
email the presentation so the committee has a chance to review and make any comments.
Okay,
or, you
so the
know,
people
look at it
can't
further.
actually see this because they're
Right.
on the phone. Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna time you.
All right, I will see if we can hit that mark.
Okay, I'm hoping for it.
All right, so, this is our roof management plan. I want to discuss what we're doing in a CIP, avenue. Just slides with presenting team. Donald, myself, we've come together, we've worked at this. What we want to kind of cover is what is an industry average for a roof system? What's a condition analysis? What is the history of what we've been doing in roofs in town the last few years? What our current strategy is, what I'm proposing as our management plan. The management plan explained in detail, because it's going to be a different approach than, I believe, a referendum that we've been talking about before. The timeline, this is about a 6-year process with about 10 years worth of savings, and then what we're going to recommend. Let me see here. So these are just kind of going over, the different types of roofs we have across town. We have 7 varieties of roofing systems: built-up roofing, modified built-up roofing. They're very much the same. types of systems, EPDM, which is that black rubber that is very common in New England, ballasted EPDM, which is, the Hazardville Memorial with the rocks holding the roofing membrane down. Asphalt shingles, I think almost everybody is very, familiar with those. TPO is the new product that we've been putting on our new facilities. So the high school, JFK, when it's done, Henry Barnard has this roofing system. It's that white membrane. It's becoming a more common thing around New England. And then metal standing seam, that's the senior center. So moving forward onto that, I just kind of want to show different places of where these systems exist around town, like Ager Parkman with it built up. I don't want to, beat this up too much about, but just kind of examples of where you'd find this across our portfolio. I'm going to move on to roof condition analysis. So this is kind of like what consultants, industry people use in the roofing business of how they rate a roofing system. You have excellent to poor. Excellent is pretty much brand new. That's our Henry Barnard, especially phase 3. That's going to be brand new as a fresh-born baby. So it's going to be a good system, lots of life, no defects. A good system, which is, it has a few years on it. There's nothing wrong with it. Some slight deterioration. I don't like how they say deterioration. This is the verbiage from, consulting firms, but it's just saying it's got some little wear and tear, nothing that, you can't fix. It's not a bad thing. It's kind of just normal. Fair. You're starting to see that deterioration kind of build up. I'd kind of like to consider that your daily driver, your work car, your commuter car. It's in good shape, has a few dents and dings, but overall, it's worth working with. When you start approaching marginal, this is a problem. You're at end of life almost. You're starting to get really heavy deterioration, and the cost to repair for the age of the system. That's where you really start questioning. What are you doing? And at that point, you're really looking for replacement. When you're at poor, the system is expired. It's pretty much dead on arrival. There's nothing that you can do. Putting money into it is futile because you're chasing lakes. It should have been replaced before it hits that point. So the next slide, I just kind of want to show, these are all of our roofing segments, areas. The town has a very large roof area. Give or take, it's right around 900,000 square feet in total. We're almost at 1 million square feet of roof. It's a lot of roof. So, if you look at our large buildings that we manage every day that I'm going to talk about in this presentation, of those 11, there's over 600,000 square feet of roof. So this is not something to take lightly. It's a lot of effort, a lot of money invested in, infrastructure. Moving forward, I want to give a visual example of what an excellent roof would be. And here's Henry Barnard phase 2 when it was just being put on. So this is, we'll have this with phase 3. This is a brand new roof. There's really nothing to do. It's brand new. You're in good shape, light maintenance, which is just kind of like cleaning the drains, getting the leaves off. Now we're getting into good. Now this is a roofing system that's a few years old. It's in real good shape. You start to see some small areas where you could do some work, that reclocking around seams, just kind of checking for sags and wears. This system is still a completely good system. This would be considered average wear that you'd expect being exposed, to the light. I always like to remind people that the roof sees everything on the building. It's always in the elements. It's hot, it's cold, it's getting rained on. It doesn't take a break. It hits the hail, the snow, so this is the thing that gets beat up the worst on all buildings, and that's your roof. Now we're going to get into what a fair roof looks like. What I'm showing is an example of 2 systems here, a standing metal seam and a EPDM. There's something that you can throw some money into and you can kind of make it last a little bit longer. It's worth investing in. The system itself overall is not in bad shape. Like the senior center, the issue with this particular system is the way the fasteners are. They're exposed fasteners, which each fastener has a gasket. That's why you see these patch repairs over a seam. It's very difficult. The metal itself is in great condition. It's the seaming. So the metal, I would say it could last. I don't want to necessarily put a hard age on it, but I would not be surprised by another 20 years with the metal. The metal itself is in great shape. It's the seams. So it's just a system. They've evolved. The standing metal seam has gotten a lot better over the years as it becomes more prevalent in the field. So, it's something that we can still work with. We can repair it. We can invest a little bit of money. It does take a good chunk of money to invest, but the money you're investing and what you're going to get out of it is still worthwhile. Now we're in marginal. You're going to start seeing heavy deterioration on seams, expansion joints at full capacity. Really, you're coming down to this system is not really worth the effort because it's going to be very cost prohibitive to make the repairs adequately for the lifespan of this roof. This roofing system has less than 5 years before it's hit its service life. So again, you kind of want to start budgeting for replacement, do small repairs to kind of get you to where you're ready to replace that system. And then we're going to get to pour. It's done. It's over. You're just chasing your tail, trying to find leaks. That's where you start seeing real heavy ponding, seam failure. It just starts tearing apart. With this particular roof example, this is a ballasted roof, and where you have the seam failures is at the edges. What makes this particular concerning for leaks is ballasted roof requires the rocks to hold it down. It's not adhered mechanically to the roof deck. So when these seams fail, it's more or less having nothing. It just comes in around the perimeter. It'll hold standing water, but it's not really stopping any leaks because there's no glue, there's no adhesion. You start getting driving wind, rain, snow, and it's just a nightmare trying to find all the seams where it's leaking, why it's failing, and it's we should not be investing on trying to limp that along. It's a complete candidate for replacement. So what I wanted to have is a graphical representation of kind of what's going across town with the ages of the roofs, the conditions, and how many. So I have an excellent, good, fair, poor. And unfortunately, we have more leaning to the poor side than the good side. I really would like to see the bulk of our roofs land between good and fair because that gives you a better standing for budgeting. But we're at a point now where approximately 20 roofing segments are at a failure condition, a poor condition, and they have an average age of 25 years. So, and that's an average age. So that's aggregated across 20 roof segments. We have them way above 30, some are around 22. So we're all over the road here, but we're kind of a point of no return without some serious investment. So that's what I'm going to start going on to is here's a small history of what happened with DPW in concerning with our roofing portfolio. 2009, Public Works assumed the responsibility for BOE properties, which included 13 sites, over 1 million square feet of building. That's a huge portfolio to just get overnight. Board of Ed properties account for about 60% of all the property that DPW manages as a facility. So it's pretty interesting. And out of that, over 400,000 square feet of that roof that we talked about is the 6 elementary schools with the Eagle Academy. So seven I guess you could call those primary schools, make a very large chunk of roof that fall in our poor category. Let me get down to the next one. Our current roof strategy, we're roofing at pre-referendum limits. This committee is very familiar with how this works. We're 3 years to complete a roof. That's kind of long. And the problem with that is because we're going by years. Each phase that we do with inflation, we're buying less square footage. We're paying for mobilization. So your buying power is hindered. So not only that, with this particular model, when we're doing a single CIP project a year, if we just look at the sister schools, you're talking over 18 years to change the roof. And by the time you get completed, where you started on the first one, you're ready to replace. So it's unfortunately, we're not going to solve our situation this way. And then we get into what we pay for leaks. Now, $76,000 on average per year. These are hard vendor costs. This has nothing to do with repairing ceiling tiles, bringing in our guys on overtime to vacuum rugs, dehumidify, repair the fire alarms. So there's a soft cost associated with that, and it probably well exceeds what we actually pay the vendor directly to come make the repairs. So I mean, it's very costly to chase leaks with old roofs. You know, here's the strategy I'm proposing. This is an aggressive CIP approach to address priority targets. I'm calling priority targets a facility that, if shut down, will displace people, programming, and limit town services for an extended period, like a classroom wing, a town hall, an Elkhorn where IT is. If those facilities are shut down from a roofing issue, there's some serious issues with how the town would operate, and that's something we'd like to avoid first, because it's going to pretty much cripple a function or multiple functions. To do this, we have to have multiple CIP roof projects each year, and it's going to be a preservation replacement tactic. Eligible roofs for state reimbursement grants need to be placed in a sinking fund. So what I'm saying is, all roofs that we get reimbursed by the state, the money needs to go into a sinking fund, and that sinking fund is going to provide the money to replace the next phase. Municipal facilities sinking fund also needs to be heavily focused in investment, because that municipal facility sinking fund is what's going to be used to replace the roofs on the larger municipal facilities. And I'll show that in a slide. We'll kind of go there. So I'm going to bring up the next slide here. This is the proposed strategy for BOE properties using CIP. I talked about having CIP projects. So we need to have 2 years of 2 independent CIP projects, not in the sinking fund, to get about $1.3 million. And the reason I'm asking for this is because this is how, you know, this whole plan is going to work. The funding's crucial. I do apologize. It's a little small on my screen here, and I'm afraid to move it. I would probably lose the sharing. But I'm targeting Hazardville Memorial and Eli Whitney for 2 years of pre-referendum funding at the full 670 for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23. When we have that secured funding, we'll have 2 CIP accounts, each worth $1.3 million. And at that point, we're going to execute phase 1 of each school. And it's going to be a very large project. And we're going to target the primary sections, the classroom wings, the admin, and the cafeteria area, the eating areas. The gym might be the second phase, because if we have a leak in the gym, we can probably work around that. But we want to look at areas that are going to be, what can we do? Where can we put kids? It's easier to not have gym than to displace kids, especially right now with this pandemic and spacing requirements. So we want to put focus on classroom wings and where admin work. So I also have a construction year next to it, because I'm running in the fiscal year for our numbers, and it's a half year and it doesn't align with the calendar year. So I think people get confused sometimes, where when we have our funding in 23, I'm putting construction in 22. So construction year would be the summer, late summer of 22. We're going to go out there. We're going to have each school is going to have a $1.3 million project. All right. So those are independent CIP funds. And then, while this is all going on, the whole time, the BOE sinking fund is also being invested, and you can see it drops as the years, but we're going to have to invest $560,000 for 2 years into the sinking fund. It's not going to be touched for the roofing. It's just going to sit there and build up that sinking fund while we have these other CIP projects going. When those 2 roofs are completed, we've been getting about 70% return for reinvestment from the reimbursement from the state. So when we get that reimbursement from the state, each roof should get around $900,000, and those are going to go into the sinking fund. And you can kind of see on the very far side the BOE sinking fund balance. You'll watch it grow and deploy. So we need to have those 2 roofs done at the $1.3 million to secure the 70% reimbursement from the state, on top of the 2 years of 560, to then have enough money in the sinking fund to do the second phases of both Hazardville Memorial and Eli Whitney, on top of doing Parkman in its entirety. So now we're moving from phases to entireties. We're doing the whole roof, even the additions, because they'll be eligible for reimbursement at that point, because we're going to be in fiscal year 24, fiscal year 23. So this is the only way I can see getting us out of this interesting problem. So it extends a little bit more than a 5-year approach that they've asked for, but we're in a 6-year construction swing, if you will. Once we get out of that year, we're in construction year 23, fiscal year 24. We have 3 roofs being done. We have 2 roofs in their second phase. They'll be complete. I mean, entirely complete. Everything's done. We're completely done with those roofs, and the Eli is done. Now we're going to take that reimbursement money. It's going to go into the sinking fund from both projects. It's now going to fund, the next roof, and we're just going to keep plugging down the line. Stowe in its entirety. We can't afford to do segments anymore. Unfortunately, segments will not get us out of our pickle. And then, same thing. You kind of see how it's a little cattywampus with the funding, but while all this reimbursement's going into the sinking fund, we're also every year dedicating. We have to commit those figures to make this work. So we're always going to have that funding, a line item, no matter what. We have to invest these numbers at a minimum into that sinking fund, along with our reimbursements to make this happen and pull it off. We'll do Crandall its entirety, fiscal year 26, physical year or construction year 25. And then finally, we'll be at Enfield Street in year 2026, which when we were talking referendum is right about the same year anyway. So we're going to accomplish what we were talking about in a referendum through CIP. When we're all done, great. All the reimbursement goes into the sinking fund. I kind of want to point out in the last year where Enfield Street is, you kind of see our sinking fund balance is right around $500,000. Well, we're going to get a reimbursement. So I'm hoping by fiscal year 28, on top of our contribution, we'll have 1.8. I'm hoping that with continued investment every year and our reimbursements by 2030, there should be about $2 million in our sinking fund. And this is going to be very pivotal because we're going to have Enfield High will be up, and believe it or not too far away will then be JFK. It doesn't seem like a long time, but those roofs are about $10 million. So that's a lot of money, and we probably won't be able to do them all at once. So we're going to need a good chunk of change to do smart segments where we start doing like the A wing, the C wing, the D wing, and it would make sense because those roofs in themselves are extremely large. Kind of what I want to show on the very bottom of these totals, what we would have to commit for true town exposure. $5 million. The town, between the CIP and funding the sinking fund, would be just over $5 million. But with this project, we're spending $12 million, over almost $13 million, and the state's covering $9 million of it. So it's not that bad if you look at the bottom. I mean, it's a little bit, actually, I won't lie, it's a lot of money up front. It is a lot of money up front. We're talking, couple $1 million, but I don't know any other way where we can really get out of this conundrum, if you will. So with that being said, I'm going to explain the strategy in the slide. We kind of talked through the explanation. I just want to pull out some bullet points. 1 year we're going to have $2.6 million of roofing projects. Enfield's going to be roofing real heavy for 6 years, but we need it. And this is how we're going to get ourselves out of the woods, especially with the elementary schools. They're not going anywhere, and it doesn't do us any favors doing this in 18 years. So I'm taking an 18-year trajectory, and we're doing it in 6. So it's 1/3 the time. So this is why I'm calling it an aggressive CIP plan. But at the end of it, we have a $2 million nest egg by 2030 to start positioning ourselves for projects. What's also kind of cool is when this is all done in 6 years, we're going to be replacing 436,000 square feet of roof on these properties. That is quite a chunk of roofing. So when I talked about it before, it's a lot of square feet. I'm going to get to the next slide. We're going to touch on municipal roofs. Municipal roofs are a little bit easier. They're smaller, they're less expensive. And they're well within traditional CIP that the town's used to, well under referendum limits for the most part, except for a few. And I kind of want to talk about what's going on right now. I touched on the library and I touched on the senior center. There's capital money available to me right now. I'm working on plans of doing preservations. Each are being funded for $50,000. So I'm working with an architect. We're getting something together. So probably we're going to have some good preservation going on in this this fall. This is perfect fall work. I've already talked to some vendors. They know it's coming. So, this is in the works. In fiscal year 22, construction year 21, the police department's roof will need to be funded for CIP as a project at $300,000. It just needs to be completely re-roofed. We talked about, a heavily programmed building. I can't really tell you what other building, like a school besides a police department, isn't vital to the community. 911 dispatch is out of there, the whole nine. So this plan is running concurrent with the Board of Ed plan. So, again, fiscal year 22, construction year 21, PD has to get replaced. There's no segments. It's mostly all shingles. It just has to go. It's at life. Again, heavily programmed building. Our 911 dispatch is out of there. All the other things that PD needs to operate, they need a dry facility. Fiscal year 23, construction year 22. I have 3 projects funded through CIP that would be included. That'd be Alcorn Preservation and Repair, Annex Preservation, and Pearl Street Library. These roofs are worth investing in, and especially Alcorn and the Annex. We can invest in them and kind of prolong the cost of them because they're referendum roofs. They cost over our $670 to get replaced, especially the Annex. That is close to a $4 million roof in today's dollars. So we have to save. That's why in conjunction with known CIP funds that would have to be put in, and I talked about the municipal sinking fund, it will have to be funded every year to start building money, because what this comes out at the end of 2020, or excuse me, 2030, we're going to have right around $3.7 million in there. With that money, we're going to have to start looking at the serious replacement of the Annex roof and Alcorn at the same time. They are close to the end of life. We're going to preserve them in construction year 22, but it's only going to buy us about 7 years. If we do nothing now, we're going to be facing, I don't want to bring up Henry Barnard, but that's what we'll be doing before phase 1 went into effect. So we're going to preserve it, buy us some time so we can start adequately funding. And, and then we'll have a nice little nest egg to actually start doing some meaningful work. DPW, same thing with DPW. It's a large, over $1 million roof. This is going to be a partial replacement. A majority of the roof is in actually pretty decent shape. We have one area, I call it the fleet area, where fleet maintains the equipment, where it's just, it's not really worth putting into. When I showed those marginal roofs with seam failures, we can repair it up to that point. But, for about $150,000, I can re-roof that, replace the skylights, and then do some preservation on the rest of the site. DPW has over 40,000 square feet of roof. So we can push that can for full replacement. And it kind of aligns with what the committee's been talking about with the Jablonski Center or Jablonski Complex, and about that time frame when some of those ideas would probably come to fruition. So that would buy us some time. You see that number building up on the sinking fund. When this all comes together, there'll be some real money to make some real repairs. But realistically, all we're doing is trying to replace what we have to, repair and preserve what we can to buy us time to actually have money to do these large roofs. Town Hall in fiscal year 26, it would be construction year 25. Town Hall, I really don't want to mess with. That roof will be about 20 years old. It's shingles. Losing a town hall to a roofing issue is something the community can't withstand. There's too many departments, too many functions, council chambers. It would be a huge business interruption. So it's just being planned and scheduled at its 20-year life, and it falls in the construction year 25, fiscal year 26. Again, it's only about $150,000 to replace that roof. Again, municipal roofs, as traditionally speaking, are smaller and cheaper because they're not as large as schools. Multi-floors, asphalt shingles, step roofs. you get into these big flat roofs like elementary schools and high schools, the prices just get overwhelming. So, you know, CIP is the route to go for municipal facilities. And with this being executed in this way, it buys us the time to continually fund our municipal facility sinking fund to build a nest egg. Because in 2030, a lot of things are going to be coming at the 30-year mark. Alcorn, Annex, all these things where, you know, it's time to start executing segments, and we'll have to do that. And then, you know, it's a different outlook than I kind of showed before with a referendum. I don't want to make it so bleak, but you know, it's aggressive, and it unfortunately has to kind of, you know, be an aggressive approach to get this done. You know, we talked about how this is going to work. I kind of talked this slide when I showed the other slide, the previous slide. So it's just kind of going over what we're doing each fiscal year, and how we're going to approach it to get to where we were. So, I mean, I can explain more if anybody has questions, but I'll take questions after the presentation too. You know, the proposed strategy explained, you know, why did we choose to do this? You know, we surveyed the whole roof, myself, a consultant, buildings and grounds to verify ages. We went to the building department. We did our homework, and we did a lot of non-invasive, non-destructive testing, you know, so we're out there looking, poking, prodding, taking pictures, everything besides taking a core sample, which would then be destructive. So infrared, it was actually a pretty interesting study, and it gave us a real good light, and it gave me a good roadmap to logistically figure out how, what roof, why, and when. So, you know, why, you know, how do we get to this order? So again, the list is prioritized based on the overall condition and the failure impacting the facility operation and business disruption. I said, you know, these are critical facilities. They're important to the community. They have to stay open because of the business disruption. The town can't shut down. We have to be open. And addressing the roofs in that order will provide that service, especially with the schools. And, you know, I don't want to say COVID, but let's face it, if something happens, there's no room to put those kids in those chairs somewhere else, unfortunately. So we need those elementary schools to work, for sure. The funding alternatives, well, you know, referendum, you know, you'd have to do referendum or this. So maybe in the future, you know, after a year or two of this, you know, the town might have an appetite for a referendum going forward, but right now it doesn't seem to be in this current play of cards. So, you know, CIP is the route that we chose to do it in, and, you know, we'll continue to move forward in CIP. And again, I want to emphasize, it's an aggressive plan. It's we have to commit. It's not half in, half out. To make this plan work, we have to fully commit to that funding schedule, and it's expensive. And it's, you know, I don't know how else to really say it, but that's, you know, those are the facts. So what DPW is kind of recommending, in the interest to protect the town's investment, all those properties that we looked at aren't going anywhere. They're heavily programmed and very vital to the community. You know, I would like to implement this proposed roof management plan with the blessing of this committee and present this to council. It's going to address all of our remaining 30-year-old primary school roofs, which is a huge thing. It needs to happen. Those kids need a good roof to go to school. And also, you know, I want to shed some light on this. It's going to provide us time to save. So in 2030, we're going to have that, you know, $3.9 million in municipal sinking. You know, again, this is all projected. And then, you know, the BOE sinking fund is going to have that $2 million savings for other projects. We have a lot of other things to do besides roofs. So we need to start burying some money so we're ready for the next big project. When this is all over, there's another wave of roofs on the horizon. It's outside a 10-year scope, so I didn't even want to really bring that up. But, you know, this is a 6-year construction plan with 10 years of savings, and it's going to put us in a really good spot. It's going to leverage our abilities. It's going to maintain vital town functions. And with that, folks, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Let me unshare the screen.
No
so
longer
everybody-
than 20 minutes, though.
I'm working on it. We're gonna shave that down a little bit. for sure.
Okay, great. I think for me, the most important thing is it is a plan. You've been to all the roofs, you've prioritized all the roofs. There's a definite understanding of where each roof is today. And it doesn't get any better from this. And I'm going to open it to the committee for comments. Anyone like Gina?
I do. So thank you very much, Jeff. So here's my worry. I've sat through enough budget seasons through the town council to know that we can have a plan. We can have a long-term plan that sounds great and we can start that plan. But many, many times the CIP is what gets underfunded, not funded, or robbed in order to keep a budget where somebody, certain people, whatever, where they want it, right? So we can present this plan, and I think it's a good alternative to a referendum, and I appreciate this alternative. I just want people to understand that this council can say it's okay, and then in 2 years or in another year during a budget season, they're gonna go, oh, you wanna fund $670,000 into this CIP or this seeking fund? Yeah, we don't have that in the budget. That's not gonna happen this year. And then it's going to trickle down every year. And before you know it, we're gonna be down every year. And before you know it, we're gonna be on a 20-year plan instead of this nice whatever year this was. So we're gonna be, I just worry it's gonna be like every other plan. We did it with the vehicle replacement, right? It was the same type of thing. We had this great plan that Derek put in. We followed it for a couple of years and it was the first thing to go when we had to cut corners and cut budgets. So I think it's a great idea in theory. I would love to see it play out. I am just cautiously optimistic that it will. So I'm hoping maybe in a couple of years, we can rework this to do a referendum, because I don't see it working long-term. I see people robbing this to start paying for other things, inevitably. That's it.
Okay. Any more comments? Tina?
Yeah, I guess that's where I kind of mirror what Gina is saying. I feel like Donna and Gina, you actually get it, and that if we don't start taking a proactive approach to these roofs, the long-term effects or the expense to get it Band-Aid so that we can continue on, whether because it's a school and we can't be without a roof, could end up costing more money in the long run. So I guess I'll be, in the words of the superintendent the other night, optimistic about everything going forward. So I'm optimistic that that this plan can be adhered to. But I know you get that, and I know Gina gets that. So,
Any more? I have to agree. The way to put funding and make it concrete is to go to referendum. Referendum is your guarantee. This is your plan. This is the kind of funding it needs. Go to referendum. It could be a 3-year plan. But it would be a plan that goes beyond. And I when I was on the board, I used to say this, and I still say it over and over again. Things have to be policy driven and not personality driven. And when we go to referendum, it stops being personality driven to get the things done that need to be done. We're a big business, and over 1 million square feet of roofing. That's huge. That's huge. I just think that, for me, and I guess maybe that's my mantra, is the infrastructure of your community is paramount in being able to do anything and to move forward. And this committee meets all the time, and COVID has totally changed how we need to look at all our facilities and how important every single building is. And I don't really want to be worried about roofs when I'm worried about way more important things than water coming through a roof. I just, so Jeff, skinny that down a little bit. We're going to the council because they are the power with the purse strings. And we're going to show them a really good roofing plan. I just think this is something that this committee's worked for a long time. Tim, we didn't even know when the roofs were done. Tim, you want to talk? Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with all of you, okay? But I'm going to be the optimist too. Because what they've done before is do nothing. Okay, this is a very constructive something. There's two valid plans there, okay, to address the times that we're in. Okay, we've shown them what we can do. We've laid it out for them. I think Jeff did a great job, but it's time to do something. And I think even if we get 3 or 4 or 5 years out of it, hopefully, then that hits a dent in it. Otherwise, we have nothing. This is something. And I'm going to choose to be optimistic, although I agree with all of you.
Okay, more comments, concerns?
What you all said.
Melissa?
What you all said.
Okay, and this, when we finish this roof, this does open up our opportunities for Melissa and everybody to engage the Green Bank on this particular site.
Yep.
So that is something that for me, I think is something that this community needs to look at, and it needs to become a little bit more energy independent. So keep up the good work. Rain, go away. We want to finish our roof. And on to E, which is the energy performance contract. Anything new?
Nothing yet.
Okay, clean energy. Melissa, you have anything? Do you know when Green
Yep,
Bank's going to
checking
come
with
to?
Kasha, the September 21st, she expects to have the Green Bank presented to council.
Great. I will be logging on remotely for the 21st. So I guess will tentatively be half the council in the chambers and half the council remotely. And I will be in Colorado, so I will
That's a
be
good
remotely.
thing. That's a good thing. So we'll move this forward. I mean, the more everybody can have their ears to the ground, let me know any other background that's needed. But Kasha's been very good with communicating with me about her thoughts. The Green Bank has a very tight presentation. What they offer with the power purchase agreement is a cost-effective, if not cost-saving approach. Nobody's rushing, but we'll see how this plays. I think it's going to be good.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Okay, now my DPW meeting was canceled, and I don't have an update. Maybe Jeff does on work.
Yeah, I have a quick update.
Great, thank you.
Anchor does have a PO in place, and they are finishing the surveying, so they're on that timeline that we've talked about before. So they're on schedule. That project's moving along, and when there's more, I'll report back.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and the master plan BL is coming what day? Are they coming the 10th?
It was the 10th, I believe we talked about last time. I did speak with John about what was going on. He has 2 questions that he would like an answer from the committee on, and if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to address those 2 questions he had.
Please, go ahead, Jeff.
One is, could BL's presentation be completed in PowerPoint in 2 parts? Part 1, the Jablonski, and Part 2, the 9 other properties.
Correct.
Okay, I'll send that back to him, because I believe that's what we were talking about before. And then, in addition, we agreed that BL would begin with each of the 10 facilities proposed in the plan/recommendation, and then, follow with enabling projects to move forward with in the timelines. So that'd be kind of like some of the, annex stuff with the windows and whatnot.
Okay.
And I'll respond back to him. So he'll run that presentation to us the 10th, and then if there's any further tweaks before council, we can definitely comment. John will be live and he'll get our feedback, and he'll be ready to go to council probably October, it looks like at this point.
Right, it looks like the first week of October, and with that, I think we need to have direction from council. Because we will have a plan, we will have many things that they need as a council to move forward with. So, I mean, everybody's done such really, really good work. It's not easy to try to look into the future and see what we need and what's going to be best for the community. And Scott's not here for the Joint Facilities Committee communications. Does anybody else have any kind of update or?
Hello.
Oh, Melissa does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention for any feedback. I got a note, and Gina did, and potentially everybody did, invitation to present on a Zoom conversation to Voices of Enfield about the work of the Joint Facilities Committee. And I, like, kind of in La La Land said, sure. And, arranged a presentation believing that everybody had been invited and noting that Gina was saying yes. And so long story short, I a couple of days before it was to happen, I went, holy crap, I haven't checked in with anyone. We don't have a plan. And Gina and I made a plan. I checked in with Donna for her thoughts. It ended up being a very, I thought, productive conversation, a lot of open-ended questions, very small group on the Zoom, 4 or 5 people. We basically outlined what this committee does and what we have been doing. And I sang a lot of praises to the staff and the, progressive hiring of better, people who know what they're doing and having some plan rather than no plan. And it was a very respectful, I thought, productive conversation. Gina, did you, but I mean, any report from your side, but I just wanted to say that I think I realize I don't know what is really the protocol for speaking on behalf of a committee. And if we blew it in terms of how we did this, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We did fine.
Okay.
I think anybody can speak how they feel as a member of a committee.
Yeah.
They're not doing the work of the committee. They do the work of the committee when it's here. We're on YouTube. We have, we have communications.
Yeah, and I mean, we made really clear, and they made really clear that this was just to have some conversation rather than less conversation. So we got in, we got done. We were trying to make it fast, and then I started blathering, but it happens.
All right, let's see. Tom, do you have anything you want to add on the roof or anything?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we all set on everything. Next meeting will be the 10th of September. Everybody's gonna have a safe Labor Day.
Donna, do we want to do these, Donna, do we want to do these invoices or just say?
All right, yes, Walter has invoices that we've received from BL. So I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to actually turn this over to Walter because he has the numbers.
Okay, I have them all on my screen here. And I don't know if we should all look at these first or
but that might be a better, an easier way to do it.
Yeah. Why don't we forward them to the committee? All right, we'll forward them to committee and we'll approve them on the 10th.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, I will forward these to the rest of the committee.
Okay. Thank you. Well, they'll be attached to the agenda anyway.
Well, I'll forward them right now so everyone can look at them.
Okay. Well.
All right, so.
Any
committee comments now.
Walter?
Jeff did a great job on his presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I apologize to Melissa about me you and Gina being the only ones on that Zoom meeting, but it happened, so well, I apologize for that. So that's it.
I didn't mind.
I have one question, if you don't mind.
Sure, Jeff.
What was my time? How much do I have to shave off?
About 35 minutes, Gina?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Jeff, a really good guideline is 100 words takes a minute to present.
You know,
And
the
100
problem is there's
words
so
is
much to
like
talk
maybe a
about.
third of a
It's really
double-spaced
hard.
page.
Oh, let's give him 25, Gina. Come on.
How about 30?
Okay.
We'll give him 30.
Ah,
Gina,
Council
come
will
on,
give
give him-
30.
I think I have to go. I'm sorry. I love you all.
25.
Okay. We'll see you on the 10th. Have a safe Labor Day.
Yeah.
Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank-
Good evening.
See ya.
Could we get a motion to adjourn from someone,
We
please?
sure can. Who would like?
Motion.
Gina? Tim? All in
Yeah.
favor? Aye. Okay, everybody have a great Labor Day.
Thank
You
you.
too. Take
All
care.
right.
As well. Thank you.